Today our story is going to start from the very, very beginning of the Bible. And the first words of the Bible say, "In the beginning God created," which means God made. And it says that in the beginning it was very, very dark. And there was no shape, and the world was empty. And then God said, "Let there be light." And immediately there was light. And God looked at it and he liked it. He said, "That's very good." And he called the light daytime, and he called the night, the dark nighttime, and the daytime and the nighttime were the very first day. And then God said, "Let's divide all the waters and make them where we have water in the top and water down below." And so God did that. And immediately when God said it, it happened. God has all the strength and power, and he can just say it and it happens. It doesn't take a long time, not a year or a month or a week or a day or a minute, even a second. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God looked at it and said, "That's very good." And then God said, "Let's separate the land from the water. Let's pull the water all out into its own place, and let's separate it." And so that happened. The dirt came, and the rocks and the sand came, and then he said, "Let's put plants there and grow them, and then everything can be green." And so that's what he did. He made trees, and he made rocks, and he made more trees, lots and lots of different kind of trees and flowers and even grass growing on the ground. And then he put fruit in the trees, and he had one big tree in the middle of the garden. That was the tree of life. And he had another tree in the middle of the garden, and it was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So all of those plants came when God said it. The flowers, the trees, the grass, the fruit, the vegetables, the rocks, the sand, the dirt, everything God made on day 3 that grows out of the ground. And God looked at it and said, "That is good." And the evening and the morning were the third day. Then God said, because we know that grass and flowers and trees need sunshine, so God said, "Let there be lights in the sky, one to control the daytime, and one main one to control the nighttime, and the stars as well." So he made the sun to shine in the daytime, and he made the moon to shine at night. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, "That is very good." And then God said, "Let's make animals all in the waters, everything that lives in the water. Let's put some animals in there." And so he did. He made the birds that fly, and he made fish that swim, and he made everything that lives in the air and everything that lives in the water, and God did that. And he made, if you can see, he made a mommy and a daddy of every one, because God wanted them to have babies and make more of themselves. So he made a mommy and a daddy of everything he made so that they could have babies and make more. All the fish, all the birds that fly in the sky, God made them on day 5. And God looked at that and he said, "That is good." And the evening and the morning were the 5th day. Then God said, "Let's make animals to live on the earth. Everything that walks and lives on the earth, let's make them." And so that's what he did. He made monkeys, a mommy and a daddy. He made rabbits, a mommy and a daddy. He made kittens. He made squirrels. Every animal that walks on the earth, God made. Whether they were big animals or little animals, that is what God made. And he made mommies and daddies of all of them so that they could have babies and make more of themselves. And the donkeys and the lions, they didn't fight each other. The giraffes didn't fight each other. The cows didn't have to be afraid of the lions and the tigers either. They all lived in the garden. And it was wonderful. But then God said, "Let's make man in our own image." And so God got some dirt and he formed a man. And he breathed into him and he became alive. And he named the man Adam. And God said to Adam, "You be in charge of my garden that I made for you, and you take care of the plants and you take care of the animals." So all the animals came to Adam, and Adam said, "You're a cow, you're a donkey, you're a lion, you're a tiger, an elephant, a giraffe, rabbit, cat, snake, squirrel, monkeys," all the animals, all the other animals that aren't even up there, he named them. And in the end, he realized he had no one for himself. He had no one to talk to. He had no one to share things with. He was all by himself except for the animals. And so God knew that he needed someone for himself, someone to love, someone to share things with, someone to help him, and someone that he could have his own babies with. And so God made Adam fall asleep. And when Adam was asleep, he took out one of his ribs. Now, if you will feel in your side, push it in deep and you'll feel a hard thing in your side. That is your rib. And God took one of Adam's ribs out of his side and then he covered it back up. And guess what God made for Adam? He made for Adam a wife. And when Adam was awake again, God gave her to him and said, "She will be your helpmeet." And she was woman because she came from a man. And her name was Eve. So Adam and Eve were the first man and the first woman, and they were in charge of all of God's beautiful garden that he made and put them in there. And that garden was named the Garden of Eden. And after God made all of these things, then he said, "That is very good." And so that was day 6. Well, there was nothing else for God to do. He was all finished making his beautiful, wonderful, perfect world. So on day 7, he didn't need to make anything else. So he just rested. Now sometimes we rest if we're tired, but sometimes we stop doing stuff and rest when we're finished doing something that we're working on. And that's what God did. On day 7, He looked at his world, everything he made. It was beautiful and wonderful. He had nothing else to do. And so the Bible says that God rested on day 7. So you can see all the wonderful things that God made because he has all the strength and power. Nobody else has that kind of power. And when God says something, it happens immediately. It doesn't take a year. It doesn't take months. It doesn't take weeks or days, a minute, even a second. When God says it, it happens. And God saw that it was very, very good.